Alright guys, what's up? Bando back in the garage again with the 454 LTD. Today what we're going to do is replace the ignition coils. Now, to do that, because I know they're bad because I tested them on this bike, I think the right one is bad and the left one is good. Pretty much what's going on. I don't know if the bike's going to do it right now, but we'll see. Sometimes it kind of starts kind of rough, but or that'll happen. Sometimes it's fine. See? That's what I'm trying to fix. Is that stuttering when it starts like that. Sometimes it gets it like right away, and other times it coughs like that until it gets it over, which I know could possibly be because of that right coil being bad. So pretty much what we're gonna do is we'll show you how to test the coils. So here's the new set I picked up on eBay. They're actually in really good condition, other than these little boots covers right here are ripping, which I have Scotch 35, so I'm going to tape those up so they don't rip anymore. But however, to test these, you're going to want to use a multimeter, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to set it to ohms. So set it to ohms, which is that guy right here. So mine's an automatic reader, so it'll switch between the resistances, but you'll have to set them to different resistances depending on what type of meter you have. So you want to take your two prongs and you're going to go to the primary end, which is the two leads that are on this end, which connect to your battery to start the bike, or to give power from the ignition coil from the battery. So you want to tap these together like so, if I can get them to sit right, and you should get a reading like that, 2.9. Kind of jump in there a little bit, but again, I'm not having these. Let me see if I could just plop them in like this in the holes here, get a better reading. There you go, 2.7, 2.8. That's where you should be about. It says on the manual, the factory shop manual that I downloaded, it was supposed to be between 2.1 and 3.2, so that's good. So I did that to both of them and they're both fine. And this has the secondary side. You want to take one lead here and you want to put it in the spark plug boot. So go like this. Take the other lead, attach it to the primary side over here, and we're getting a reading between, we get it to hold right, that's where it's holding at, 16.16. That should be fine. It says, I believe, that's supposed to be between 10,000 and 18,000. So this is rounding down. I mean, it's obviously putting in a decimal because it's, you know, higher, but it reads that. So it's in between the ranges, so it's good. And I also tested the other one, and they read the same. They're about the exact same. They're, I think, half. I think it's one's reading. This one reads 16.1. This one reads 16.5. So they're in spec. The other one that I had on that bike was not. It was reading somewhere like, one was reading 16. This left one was reading 16. The right one was reading like 200 and something. So it was way, way, way off. So I knew that something was up. There's no way that should be that big of a gap. So we will show you how to get it apart in a second once I grab the right tools. So I'll be back in a second. So the tools you will need is a socket set or wrenches, preferably a 10mm socket with an extension would do. That would take off most of the bolts. Mine are kind of in between because they have one's got, like, the seat's got a 10, the gas tank's got an 8. So depending on what bolts you need to take off, they may vary from bike to bike because of irresponsible owners like people that have owned it before me. So that's why I have this, and then some Allen wrenches, although I think the original bolts that hold the ignition coils on are hex head, they're not Allen keys. Mine have Allen keys in them. I have no freaking idea why. I'm assuming because somebody lost them or somebody replaced them with something because of them losing it. But anyway, let's get started. So first thing what you want to do is take these two bolts out for the rear seat and then pop the seat off. And then your seat should come off like this. And once you have your seat off, Your next step is going to be take your gas tank bolt out, which is connected right here. Also, you want to disconnect the fuel line from the tank, which would be right here. So you just grab this guy up in here and you just give him a tug. Pops right off, like a little fuel might come out. And then disconnect this vacuum line that's connected to the top of the carburetor. This is for, well, I might actually disconnect that as I pull the tank off. But this vacuum here is giving your vacuum pressure to push your fuel through to run into the carburetors. So disconnect these two lines and then pop this screw off to get the tank off. Okay, with the gas tank off the bike and set aside, we now have access to the ignition coils. So pretty much there's one on either side here and here, and there's 3 wires going to it. You'll have the positive will be yellow and red, and then you'll either have, I believe, a green or a black wire, depending on which side it's on, going to the other one. Now, as you can see, I have 2 Allen bolts in mine. The guy that sent me the ones off of eBay, they had a hex head, which I'm pretty sure those were 10mm hex head. But I'm going to get an Allen key to take these 2 out. And then also be careful not to lose, there's a little spacer in between each one here, or I should say in each bolt. It's between the frame and this, so it spaces it out so it can actually fit right. So make sure you don't drop that. And then what you're going to want to do after that is then just pull your spark plug boot off, and then the whole unit should come out. Okay, so once we've taken off the coils, you'll see they look like this. Just the 2 sets of wires are just going to dangle there. It's fine, you can leave them alone. And then here's the 4 screws that I have. Now, I don't know if somebody had made these spacers at some point or if these are stock OEM. I have no idea. This bike has been screwed with so many times by whoever had owned it in the past. And these are the old coils, and these are the new coils. New. So to show you guys what I mean, why I think this coil is bad, you test the one down here first. Now, this came off the left-hand side of the bike, and this one came off the right-hand side of the bike. So, testing the 2 points here. Put one here and one here on the primary side. 2.8, normal. Go ahead and stick the one in the spark plug boot. And we get 16.8, which is normal. And then we go to the other one here, to the other primary side, and we get 2.8, which is normal. However, once we do the secondary side, which I just pulled that out, once we do the other side here, I'll show you. See, we're getting 2.17. That's really low compared to the other one was at 16. So this coil, I believe, had its last fire correctly. So that's how I know, or how I thought I knew that this coil is bad. So we're going to change them over to these, and all I did with these was I just taped up the boot ends there just so they don't come apart because they were cracking and fatiguing, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and reinstall them. Pretty much the same process. You just take it. Now, both coils, when you install these, which I didn't know that the first time because I just was assuming they go one way, but they apparently don't. You can put them on both ways. You're going to want to have this part here obviously facing towards the back of the bike, and then you're going to want this on the lower side, not the upper. I've had it flipped upwards like this before, and it caused me a heck of a problem putting the gas tank on. So keep it like this. Then you see it's labeled positive and negative. So what you're going to do is take the yellow wire, slide it over the positive side, and the green or the black wire and slide it over the negative. And then obviously plug your boot in to your spark plug. And we'll see what happens when we put it back together. So with them back on the bike, this is how they should look. So you see you got your wires attached here and here, and then the spark plug wire, and then these two are here with their spacers. Obviously, tip would be to finger tighten them into the frame, because obviously that they're going into this center bar here, so be careful, finger tighten them first so they don't cross thread, otherwise you're gonna have a really bad time trying to see if you could tap and die them to get them to redo the threads right. And this is how the other one looks. You got the yellow on top, black on bottom, then it's going around to the spark plug boot. So all you got to do is then redo everything that you just undid, which is really easy. Just throw the gas tank back on. Make sure your two little spacers on the front of the tank line up with these pucks. Reconnect your gas line, reconnect your what was the term I'm looking for? Reconnect the vacuum line that goes here on the front of the carb here, so that way you'll get fuel flow again. And this duct tape, don't mind this. I put this here to prevent the frame from getting scratched up and everything. That's just, and these are zip tied. Is zip tied the wiring harness as we redid the whole wiring harness, so don't just ignore that as I get gasoline on myself. But yeah, just reattach these two, rebolt your tank down, and then rebolt your seat back here to these two bolt holes, and that'll be that, and she'll be back together. So see you in a minute. Okay, so bike's back together. Now, as long as you connected up your fuel line and your vacuum line here correctly, here and here, well, obviously the fuel line's up here because the petcock's here, and your seat bolts are tied into the back. What you're gonna do then is, obviously there's no fuel in the line, but you should have some fuel in the carburetors. What I like to do is just flip it to primary, and then just flip the throttle a couple times just to open the carbs up, get some fuel in there. Then you could just flip it back on to on, so then it's on the vacuum system itself. So let's see what happens. Let's give her the old fire and see what happens. And then mine has a problem with that. That's an ignition thing. That's not going to happen to your bike. I just got to wiggle the key a little bit. There we go. So she fires up. Try it again. Seems a little better. So it is working, at least. That's the good thing. However, it still didn't get rid of my my symptoms I thought it was, but still not warm yet. I also believe this ignition's got something to do with it too. It's because the previous owner, like the key that I had made for this bike here now, actually works correctly. The original factory key that I got with the bike was all like the teeth were all grounded down, and I'm pretty sure somebody was fucking with this ignition at one point or another. So I think there might be something also to do with that as well, but it does start, so that's the good thing. The work was worth it. And only time will tell to see if she runs any better than what she is. But you gotta figure, this bike's got, I think 31,000 something. Yeah, 31,740 miles on it. So that's a lot for, I mean, it's not really a lot if you think about it. It's 86. So you do the math, it's about, 1,000 miles a year, somewhat like that. So, but she runs great so far. I've had no problems, and we actually got another one over there. This one's, I don't think you'll ever find one in this low mileage. Maybe you might get lucky, but this guy's got 2,900 on it. She runs awesome when she's obviously warmed up, but I had to do some resto work to this. This is my buddy's. Somebody messed up the gas tank pretty bad and broke some parts on it, but we got her running, so she's good to go. And some other stock parts that are not on there include the tail light over here. Like, this tail light is not stock. I put this on here because this is an LED light license plate bracket because somebody broke that off. Repainted the fender and the tank because they were bashed up and beaten, but put some new turn signals on. Amazon special, because all four of these turn signals were broken, because these are the stock ones, what they're supposed to look like. But we'll see. Hopefully, if anything, the bike runs better. with that ignition coil, because I'm pretty sure that was problematic at some point. That was causing an issue at some point or another. So I'm still having some starting problems, not all the time, but once in a while there, kind of chokes a little bit. But if she starts and she runs, that's all I care about, and she goes fast, which she hauls pretty good still for being 30-something years old. So I'm pretty happy. It's my project bike, my third bike, and my lender bike. When one of my buddies wants to ride and they don't have a bike, this is what I give them. And so far, everybody loves it. Can't beat it for like $2,000. I think complete total package, I should say. It's a little on the high side, I guess, if you want to buy a used one on the market. It's like you get them for $1,500 or less, but it was a project. I knew that going into it. I liked how it turned out. A lot of my friends had a helping hand in it, and it was kind of a cool experience. So, all right, next thing will be I also have to put a new thermostat temperature sensor in the bottom of the radiator, because the radiator fan will not kick on now for some reason. I'm assuming it just the sensor finally gave out. So that'll be my next project. So see you guys in the next video. Take care.